Okay guys, here is a tutorial for another old classic by the Turtles, Happy Together. I wanted to do this one because this is a fun one to play, and it's not too hard in terms of the chords and the structure and so forth. A bit of a technique in getting a muted strumming pattern happening. But capo onto the second fret for this one, I find it's a bit easier. Starts, well, the chords you're going to need, basically the intro is on an E minor, right? So you just need an E minor for the intro. And with the verse, you're on the E minor also. Goes to a D, goes to a C, and then goes to a B7. Alright, so 4 chords in the verse. And then the chorus is only 3 chords. An E, to a D, back to the E, and then to a G. So it'll be E, D, E, G, E, D, E, G for the chorus. And there is an outro, which is basically just E minor to B7, E minor to B7, E minor to B7. Alright, so very few chords as such. Right, let's just get into the intro and the strum. E minor. You see I'm doing muted downstrokes and throwing in a quick little upstroke. So the way I'm doing that is it's a combination of 2 things. I'm using the inside of my palm on the stroke, on the downstroke. The inside of my palm is more or less just sort of scraping the strings after I've done the downstroke. And then also with the E minor fret, when I'm stroking down, I'm fretting the E minor and pressing down, and then as soon as I've strummed, I'm basically just releasing my fingers, not off the strings though, but just not pressing down on the fret, so that gives that mute. So you're twisting your hand into it. As I'm pulling back, I'm just releasing my fingers off the fret, but not off the string. So you're trying to get this. The upstroke is optional. I throw it in there. Sometimes I try to keep it really light so you can barely hear it. Imagine me and you, I do. Okay. If you're just learning it for the first time, perhaps don't worry about the muting. Just learn the chords and play the chords first, and then introduce the muting techniques later on. Okay. There's also a little run on the intro if you want to do it. It goes like this. Using your pinky to just on the first string, fret on the third. You're basically going to, while you're E minoring, I use my pinky for the slide down to the second as well. Then open, but that's where that sort of upstroke happens. So you get. Then on the open first string again, pinky then comes up onto the second string on the 3rd fret, and then open second string. So you get. It takes a little while to get that, so again you can put that in later once you get more familiar with the song. Right, let's push on into the verse. As I was saying, E minor, D, C and B7, but using that muted strum pattern. Imagine me and you, I do, I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about the girl you love and hold her tight. So happy together. Again, if I should call you up, invest a dime, and you say you belong to me, and it's my mind. Imagine how the world could be so very fine, so happy together. Now, as you're coming out of that second verse, leading into the chorus, just some quick up and down strokes. No muting. And then into your chorus, no muting at all here either. D, sorry, as I was saying before, E to D, E to G. I can't see me of nobody but you for all my life. Again. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Right? And you go into another verse with the muted again. Me and you and you and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you and you for me, so happy together. Right? And it's more or less just more of the same, just chord, chorus, verse. There is a solo part in the middle there, which is basically just the chorus, but they're just sort of going. Then they go into a repeat of, I think it's verse 3 again. Me and you and me, no matter how we toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you and you for me, so happy together, so happy together. So the outro is just going between the E minor and the B7. But they're the basics to Happy Together. I love the song. Just always puts a smile on your face to play that one. So good one to have in your repertoire.